Well, thank everyone for being here. First off, on behalf of Terrell Jackson, I just want to thank our staff, our medical staff, and Temple's medical staff for their quick and immediate response to the injury that occurred on Saturday. It was a scary moment for the young man, and certainly he lost feeling in his body for a bit. But we were able to get him back on the plane and get him back home here. We fully expect him to make a full recovery. But to get him back before the season's over, we're not quite certain just yet. And it's more or less probably doubtful that it's going to happen. As I told the team yesterday, we had a team meeting. I said, don't let what happened Saturday dictate and determine who we are as a football team. I look at a week ago against OU, and then this past Saturday, certainly we did not come ready to play our very best football game and give Temple a lot of credit. They were a very good football team, and the stats speak for themselves. We certainly did not expect to go in that game and only produce 155 total yards of offense, and that's always disappointing because when you look at the week before against OU, it all came together. And it just it wasn't meant to be. It's on me. It's on the coaches. It's on the players. The good thing is we had that ownership meeting yesterday. What I saw in a lot of guys' eyes was accountability. And now nobody said it was going to get any easier. We play Northern Illinois, who we know is a very good football team. But it's great to be back home, and certainly expect a tremendous effort out of our kids getting ready for this football game Saturday.
Was it a cheap shot on Terrell? And if it was, is it one that you would have the league to look at and see if there should be anything further than no penalty on the play when the kids, chances are, out for most of the season?
I think that when you look at the play, Terrell was, working extremely hard. Their guy came across and, gave him a good shot. The game's it's a high contact game, and I didn't think it was a cheap shot. I don't think the kid intended it for it to be a cheap shot. He wanted to hit him, and it was a good strike. And the good thing for us right now is that Terrell's going to be okay, and that's really we're very thankful and blessed for that.
Jeff, what do you have to shore up defensively in terms of containing the outside run? Pierce broke a couple, and I guess, from what I understand, that's what Northern did to Western to a great extent.
Well, we talked about manning up the edges. I said it last week, and we had guys at the point of attack. Our fundamentals, we just broke down. And to give Bernard Pierce credit. He's a tremendous running back. We all know that. But at the same time, we need to come and deliver our best effort fundamentally with tremendous passion, determination. Our tackling was not where we wanted it to be. And so when you add those things up, we struggled. There was no question. But I think our kids understand they're a better football team than what they displayed. We need to go back into and really creating an environment in practice this week that's going to get us in the right frame of mind. A mentally and physically tough football team, and to be better tacklers, certainly, and being better blockers, because on the flip side of that, offensively, we didn't help our defense. When you look at, the first three series, we go 3 and out, but then the fourth and fifth series, we had a 10-play drive and a 14-play drive. We just weren't able to deliver with any points. And on the road, you're trying to create some early momentum and to hold them back, and they created the momentum, and, we weren't able to recover.
Jeff, what's the challenge in a running quarterback like Harnish, who had such a big game last week and had some success against you last year? How much of a different challenge is it for your defense when you have a quarterback who may be the best runner on the opposing offense?
And certainly he is a great player. He's a great competitor. Last week he totaled up to over 430 yards. When you look at that game, Western Michigan, and is going in at halftime with the lead. And then in the second half, they found a play or two where Chandler and they have another quarterback, number 6, Jordan Lynch, who comes in there. And they just they found a play or two that really created a lot of explosive yards, that really totaled up and gave them 38 unanswered points in the second half. And that's what they took over the game with. But I think they're finding that that's who their strength is, and that's where they are going. So we need to, we're not going to stop them, but we got to contain them. And certainly I feel good about our defense and our defensive coordinator and our entire coaching staff and our players, that they know that they're going to have to play a very disciplined, sound, fundamentally, football game with great passion.
I guess they said that it was essentially the same play they kept running. How surprising is that to you as a play caller yourself to hear that the same play continued to work over and over again?
That's called smart coaching. If it works, don't change. And and it's true. And when you watch the film, there was a lot of consistency in terms of what they were doing. They were just mixing up a lot of formations. So they got a lot of confidence in that one particular aspect of the game. And and Chandler Harnish is a great competitor, and we know that. So you don't go to the MAC championship game. The thing is, really, we need to do a better job offensively. We got to keep them off the field. And we need to get our mentality offensively, both in the run game, pass game, on our side of the ball, and then that way eliminates some of the issues you have defensively.
That is so. You touched upon it twice. That is so important. I mean, to ask your defense to repeatedly go out there after a 3-and-out situation or a short possession and turn it over and hold the fort, it really becomes an impossible situation.
It spells disaster, and that's what we saw. And certainly talking to our offense, and it starts up front. I keep saying it. That's where that week before against OU, that's what we were able to do. And that's the result you gain. You get the result when the offense can move the ball and put points on the board. Because if you're expecting the defense to go out there against a good football team like Temple, to shut them down, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen, and that's really where it's. We got to come in here with the right mindset. We got to demand excellence out of our up front guys, our offensive line. We got to get our run game going again. And as I told them yesterday, this is not going to. We're not going to define this game by define our team by this game. We need to go back to what we saw against OU. And you have evidence that it can be done. You just need to go back into basically executing those fundamentals and then take some pressure off our defense, and then do it in special teams too. We can't afford to let teams get on us and then turn around and score a touchdown off a fake punt. And even in that particular situation, we had two guys that could have probably saved the day and got us to play another snap. But we missed 2 tackles. As he was going into the end zone. So, as I tell him, play to live another down. Play to live another down, and it was a mistake because we were misaligned. But, those are all things that are all bothersome when you look back at the game Saturday.
And arguably your best 3 games of the year on home field. You have that again this weekend. What kind of an advantage has that afforded you so far this year?
Well, we've got a great, this is a great city for football. We know that. It's a great football city. People are passionate about Division I-A football and college football and pro football. That's what we need. We need to create an antagonistic crowd and get them into the game, and we need to bring them into the game. We got to demonstrate something for our fans and family and friends to get excited about. And that's what we talked a little bit again about yesterday. We tell them all the time, you win at home, you're going to be a bowl team. You win on the road, you're a championship team. And so take care of your home turf. That was a commitment we made all winter, conditioning long, all summer, about taking care of business at home. And we have shown up from that standpoint. And this will be a tremendous challenge and test for our kids this weekend against Northern.
You've had tremendous success on 3rd down lately. Buffalo hasn't. What is it about that particular down that can be such obviously it's important because it's the one before you punt, but explain what goes into that sort of pressure of the 3rd down.
Well, I think what you look at is what you're doing on 1st and 2nd down. And that's really the main thing. We were not as efficient on 1st, 2nd down Saturday, which put us in a lot of 3rd and long situations where you look at them and they were successful on 3rd down because they were in a lot of 3rd shorts. Because they were doing a much better job of getting the ball into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, as opposed to 3rd and 7 and 10 and 12. And that's really the name of the game. You got to stay ahead of the chains, and we weren't able to do that.
Jeff, what's the plan for replacing all the things that Terrell did for you, either on special teams and on offense?
No, that's what I said to the staff, and I said, Terrell's a tremendous football player. He plays wide receiver, but his ability to help us in special teams is really what we're gonna need to really replace him with. And guys like Eddie Young, guys like Courtney Lester. We're looking at Brandon Murray, Javon Gill. Those are the guys that really need to step up. Maybe Devin Hughes. That need to step up, and that's why we always talk about that, that next man in mentality, because you got to have guys ready to go, and that's why it's so important to develop them all year long. And as I tell them all the time, I said, look, your one moment's going to take place. It happens every year. It's happening right now. So get your mind in the right frame and get ready to help this football team be successful. And so those other guys, the guys I mentioned, are going to be the ones that are going to step in there and help us out.
There's a lot of the elements of the passing game to work out. You've even had maybe some big drops on some potential big plays that Chaz might have hit. Has there been some talk with the wide receivers about how, helping out their guy?
Eye to eye, talking. It's unacceptable. If the ball's thrown, and that's your job. And then also, it's not even about just catching the ball. It's about what you do with the ball after you catch the ball. We talk about yak yards, yards after the catch. And and that's something that we need to do a better job. We need to be more determined when that ball's in our possession after we catch it. So, yes, we have to do a better job of catching the ball. There was too many drops, and we've had too many, and then we we misconnected on a few too. We had a couple guys open, and then it breaks down up front in addition. So it's a collective effort from every single player on the offense. But yes, we need to do a better job of catching and then running after the catch. That's something that we miss. When you look at Northern, they have a lot of guys that are catching the ball, and guys are at the point of attack, but they're making guys miss tackles, and that's what we saw also on Saturday with the run game. We weren't able to, really bring down their running backs at the point of attack, and that hurt us because those are the big plays that really can really generate a lot of momentum for the opposition.
Jeff, obviously Bo's your main guy, but when you're struggling to move the ball against a team like Temple, which really isn't a surprise, everybody knows they're good defensively, to not have any other options in the running game, like the guy I'd forgotten all about when you mentioned, Murray is, who looked good during the summer, and he was in that kind of situation a lot over the summer, but yet we haven't seen any real mix in terms of the running game.
Well, and I think just, when you look at the week before, Bob, the guy runs for 179 yards. You just watch him play and the way he sparks and inspires our football team and in the run game, we feel like he's the guy that, can get the job done. And you're right. There's always going to be that, okay, what if we put this guy in there? What should we do here? It's a collective effort. I think really when I really look at the way we competed, it certainly wasn't at the level I expected up front. I need more out of our big guys, period, end of story. That's what they were able to get. Then when you look at some of the plays, those guys are just, they're getting after it. And that's what, we need to get, that mentality back like we did against OU. And, and I don't think it's any one particular guy, but it's a collective effort out of all the guys. And I always tell you, it starts up front. That's an area that we need to really come with a demeanor and an attitude and a physicality in order for us to get people off us a little bit, so we can take our shots, downfield.
Coach, at which point do you start giving the guy like Zordich some looks?
Well, Chaz, our quarterback, and when you look, again, you look at one of his finest days against a great defense like OU, and then you flip it over to this past week. I know Chaz is a very conscientious young man. He's very determined to get this thing, on a consistent, in rhythm basis, and that's who's going to continue being our quarterback right now. And that's that's my feeling. That's our entire coach's feeling. We love Alex Zordich, and we think he's a great quarterback, but that's not the option that we're going to go to right now.
Is there anything else in the injury situation, and where's Reeders?
Well, he's back, and you saw he was.
I didn't realize.
Yep. Jake Reeder's back.
Anything else?
You know,
I'm sorry.
no, just Terrell right now. You know, Whitney Sherry was out last week, but you know we feel like he's you know he's going to be able to get back. He'll be out in practice today, and then you know outside of that, you know we've been relatively healthy. But Jake Reeder is back, and you know we feel very good about his progress, and hopefully we can you know maybe get him in and get some plays and some reps and help us out.
Did you get a chance to catch Naaman Roosevelt's play from last week?
I heard about it, and congratulations, Naaman. It's always great to see one of our own here make it to the next level and show and then demonstrate that they can compete at that level. And you know, we couldn't be more proud of that young man. And you know, and I know that you know he's a great competitor. So you know, we expect more of that.
Making mentions of guys like that, there's James Starks, what he did in the Super Bowl last year, and that Versus show, the national show. Liam McHugh was talking about his Buffalo roots on the most recent edition of it. Those mentions where UB kind of gets national recognition. What can those do to build a program and help in future recruiting?
You hit it right on the head. It helps in recruiting because people see that, you know, that we have quality young men that choose to come to Buffalo, that have won championships, that can go on and play at the next level and also win Super Bowl championships. And we had a young man that I coached at Cincinnati. His name's Jason Kelsey, who plays for the Eagles. He's a rookie starter as a center, and you know he took the time to come over just to see me, and that means everything to us as a coaching staff and all those relationships. So when you see a guy like James Starks, Naaman Roosevelt, and you name a number of guys, I see that Kelsey, you know, they appreciate the work that we put in. And, you know, and that's really what it's all about, is get these kids to compete, graduate, and play at the next level. And when they have success, then other kids will identify with that, and it adds more credibility to what you're saying and doing with your football program and your development, and that they can get there coming to Buffalo. And we want them to continue, you know, recognizing the quality of football that we play here.
Not having, I don't have film to go break down. What was Temple able to do to neutralize Khalil last week?
You know, they ran away from him a little bit more than usual, but you know, and I think that's you know one aspect. You know, again, they were running the ball a lot. You know, so you know they had a lot of 2 back sets and 2 tight end sets, and you know, and that neutralizes a little bit of that. Plus, they had success, you know, in their power game, you know, up inside. So, you know, they never really challenged him as much, you know, so that's where it's at. You know, talking to Khalil, he wasn't frustrated. He just knows that he's one of 11 out there. And he knows that he needs to get others to play at that level. If somebody's going to challenge you in your point of attack, then you need to step up and make those plays. And that's what I liked about what he said yesterday.
Chandler Harnish has obviously had some fantastic games this year, but there have been times he was somewhat held in check. What can you do against a guy who's so versatile, who's got the highest single game rushing, the max this year?
Yeah. Great question. That's why I've hired a quality defensive staff because, but you better when you get your hands on him, you get your mitts on him, you better bring him down. You know, and he's a big, strong kid, but you got to be disciplined. You know, this is a type of offense that requires you to be extremely disciplined from a defensive standpoint, and you have to man your areas. And again, same thing. You know, tackle him when you get your chances, and again, don't do somebody else's job. We tell them all the time. You know, we have 11 guys out there. Do your job. Okay, don't cross over into somebody else's. Don't get, you know, your eyes are peeking and looking for something that isn't your responsibility. And that's really where we need to be locked in mentally from a defensive standpoint.
Do you think there's been a decent amount of that that's caught you off guard when you're watching the tape, saying you're not paying attention to your responsibility because you're worried about something else?
Well, they run the option. You know, they run an influence option read concept, and you know, so they're, you know, anytime you have option football, you have to be extremely disciplined because somebody's got to take the quarterback, somebody's got to take the back, somebody's got to take the pitch, you know, I mean, and there's a lot of different ways that teams are doing it. That's the difference between last week and this week. Last week they were just, you know, they're going to come right at you. You know, they're going to run power, gap schemes, you know, inside zone and counter. This is a zone read type of concept that gives the quarterback the option to run. You know, so you're either going to give it to the running back or you're going to give it to the quarterback, and you know, and that's really the uniqueness of that. And so they're willing to run him. You know, 60% I think of all their runs is Chandler Harnish. So we have to do a great job of knowing, you know, each and every call who's got the quarterback. Thank you.